Good evening, guys. Ken at Tortoise Capital, nightly strategy podcast for April 5th, 2023. Start with the swing trade portfolio. And everything here is on the 30-minute. Starting with Alcoa. So yesterday we closed that little one-day gift. I missed the sell-off caught at 2. A perfect trade would probably have been short here at the collapsing dragon or here, and then cashing at the edge of the dragon, but span of control. The one that got my attention really was AI. This was the opportunity trade yesterday. They had that gap down and a horrible sell-off on the basis of being accused of deceptive accounting practices by a hedge fund that is short them. And they got smoked for about minus 26% yesterday. There was another gap down on them and then a continued sell-off. So I took the $1.50 of swing risk and cashed that little trade for +1 on the swing. No overnight risk. Caterpillar yesterday was the gap, a bit of a gap and then a harsh sell. And so we got short, and that thing was just closed horribly. So we kept that one overnight. And when this continued, put a second position on today, and that closed here. Really tempted to get out of it, but I wanted to hold it one more day because it is below this crucial support level here. So that one is holding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the first one, 10 on the second one, and more to follow because this is a 10-day and a 30-day low right there. I'll be ready for that to just get smoked tomorrow. Cliff was a no trade, although there was a clear collapsing dragon in there. There was a continuation trade to the downside, but I had span of control issues today. CVS, this one, I wanted some long exposure, and this 2-day sideways chop was resolved to the upside with a gap and then a go. And so I took the standard risk after the gap, and this closed well with about 3 in hand and looks pretty good. Dish Network was the Godzilla trade that resulted in this, and then we tried the Kata 2 entry out of the Godzilla on him and cashed a fractional. And then yesterday, as that started to collapse, we took the short and it closed poorly, and we were holding 2R. And today it sold off and then started to recover. And that just felt like enough. That's about 2R to the good and no overnight risk. No position on it now. Devon Energy this was my regret 2 days ago, and then missed the short. And then today was a Kata 2 intraday, showed no signs of failure, and had that little hook. So took the PSAR flip, standard risk, and holding about +1. If this I liked it because it was above the dragon. If it gets above the RL10, that's where I would consider adding a second position. EA was yesterday's huge win. This was like 39R yesterday, of which we cashed the first 3 positions here, and we're only keeping the one open, and that had about maybe 3R in hand. And this morning it all gapped up and then started to fail right away, and I had a chance to improve the exit a little bit over yesterday. So I was just happy to get out of the trade. It then reversed and closed well, but I was nowhere near the zero state on that one, and still trying to process the enthusiasm for this trade. So I'm going to probably start stalking that one tomorrow with that as the zero state box. But still, it's this one was hard to get into the zero state because of the wind. Emerging markets today, we just yesterday we tried that COTA 2 and it closed here, and today it started selling off. So I just took the scratch. Didn't have the mindset to get short on this. I was just mentally tired today, so no further trade on that. Just scratching. Ethereum did really well today, and so for you longer term position traders, it closed above the crucial 9 level, and so our entry on a long term swing on that one back at 550 is feeling pretty good right now. But this one, I'm ready to start turbo on that one on the long side. Mexico was another one of these heroic trades, and then we tried at the close of 2 days ago, tried the COTA 2, and it did this for us. And then today just started selling off, and so I was able to get out of it at a scratch and didn't have the energy to short, although the play was there. Brazil, same thing. We tried 2 days ago that the close, the SSC. The initial enthusiasm was met by depression and failure today. So basically another scratch. So Brazil and Mexico both went nowhere. Intel, again, we tried that one today. Was just a nothing day. Right at the close, this thing had sold off and continued to sell. So get out of it with a scratch. I'll be stalking that one fresh tomorrow. International paper, cash the short today. We were holding a pretty good short yesterday, but then it started rising, got a bad fill, so cashed about 0.5. Just stalking IYR. This is showing some signs of weakness right here. So I will be ready to play that one short tomorrow. I think it's already fully valued on the upside. I would be much more surprised by gains in here. The downside is the place where I am more prepared to trade. KRE is the regional banks, and yesterday we took the collapsing dragon, and it closed here. Today it sold off more, and still stayed down here. On my best day, I would have been out of this, but I still just think there's a lot more pain and suffering in the banks, and so I want to be exposed to that one overnight. Marijuana, no trade. Clean energy. We had the collapsing dragon here yesterday that closed here. This morning it gapped down, so I added the second position, then took the standard exit at the edge of the dragon. So that's about 3R on the first one and 1R on the second one for a total of 4. I just really like that trade. I thought that one felt very professional, was not emotionally draining. Rivian, we've had a couple, a minor win and a scratch, and then it's just been, this was not tradable for me today. This is a zero state setting up right here. Now there's enough room for it to go to the upside and to the downside. So now I'm much more interested in this one because it is more like that definition of a compound critical state. That's basically the same position it was in here. and we were able to get that move to the upside. So I feel much better about this one now. It's in my wheelhouse. Treasuries, I just missed the re-entry yesterday. I felt bitter and disappointed, and then even more so today. This is at 108. 110 is sort of the upside lid on this thing, so I would not be surprised to see this fail. I'll be trading that one on 3 minutes tomorrow to see if we get any kind of weakness out of here, because it's a 2-to-1 just to the daily low, and if that fails, it's another 2-to-1 down to the R10. Tesla was like a COTA 2 that we tried yesterday right at the close. It immediately sold off 1R. I took that 1R loss and revenge traded him for a 2R gain on the stop and reverse. So we're net 1 on Tesla. And then this feels like a zero state. I'll be ready to trade that one in either direction tomorrow. U.S. Steel. That was yesterday's gift trade on the collapsing dragon that paid off. There was a trade in here today, but I just span of control was not there. I've added Johnson & Johnson to the stack because it turned out on the 3-day to look very good. And I just want to show you that, the 3-day was a good guide, but I didn't have the fractals set up to get into that move. But holy smokes, the 3-day chart on this thing is just a joy to behold. The 3-day, which is a much wider stop, I do have an entry on this one here with a stop like this. So that's the case of about 152.5 to 156.5. So that's a $4 box, which is a really wide stop. And then had a extraordinary gift today that closed up in here. But as a way to dial down to shorter term time frames for the turbo. So here's what it looks like on the 3-day. And now all of a sudden the context of a PSAR flip here with a stop like that, because we're aiming for this. I'm still looking for 180 out of this. And it's only at 165. So there's another plus 15, and that sure was a heck of a move. So I would not be surprised to see more engagement tomorrow. Well, in order to get a better position size and to trade that shorter term, I can dial it down to the daily bar, and then the daily bar. When you drop down a factor of 3, you get the earlier entry at 153.5 when the PSAR flips, and now you're only talking about a $2 risk box instead of the 4. And then if you take that down further to the 30-minute, you can see how the 30-minute gives you opportunities for breakouts and continuation patterns and emerging dragons that allow you multiple bites at the apple. And so if you start out there with the 3-day and then dial down to the 1-day and then down to the 30-minute and then to the 3-minute, you're getting more and more turbo as you go, and you can start using the 3-day as when the seasonality changes on that one, especially from winter to spring, you get early warnings when this kind of stuff is getting ready to happen. So I want to encourage you to think about the fractal nature on the higher time frames. We do a lot here on the 3-minute and the 30-minute, but It works in the same way for the 3-day, 1-day, and 30-minute. Let's go to the intraday now. All right, so this is a 3-minute chart on the intraday. And what we had here, so this is on a 3-minute chart. And yesterday's close, there was a gap down, and then it set the OR3. And then in the second bar, it took off. So we get a long with a standard risk box, check or hold. That sells off pretty quick. It continues to fail. So now I have almost like a delayed stop and reverse after it drops a full risk box. So we take a half an hour loss. It continues to fail. When it violates below the OR3, the original OR3, which is here, then that gives us this one and standard risk box here. And take the standard exit at the edge of the dragon for 1, 2, so about +2. Continuation short for about a half an hour. Then that leads to an SSC entry, scratch, stop and reverse. That's where the trade was. That gives me about a 3R. And then it immediately starts to fail again. So short once again for a fraction, SSC, a fraction, and really not much else. So this one really was rewarding those earlier moves on the short side, and the PSAR, again, as always, is your friend. Okay, so that was this was Mexico. So Mexico is a great intraday trader. If it's not going up, it's going down. It gets very directional moves in an orderly fashion like this all the time, which is why it's a frog champion. It was at the end of a really good long run up, and this was just sort of the natural profit preservation and reduction of risk from folks that have been on the long side of this thing. This is what that AI trade looked like. I was actually in the classroom this morning on my tablet trading with a smaller indicator set. And basically, this was the start of the. So yesterday, again, it was a horrible sell-off. And so I waited about 10 minutes. It sold off, and then a new low of the day. So I just used the standard risk to the high of the day and picked up about 2R on the orderly move and the exit. So that's about 2R in a standard fashion. I went back and marked it up later, and that's about what it looks like if I'm using my regular indicator set. Okay. This, by the way, is the this is what that Johnson & Johnson on the 3-day looks like. And so what I look for on those in terms of trade framing is the from peak to trough. And then when the winter, this is all in the fall right here on the MACD in the blue. And then when that goes to winter, that thing is just getting murdered. And then here's where the winter stops getting worse. And there's a little bit of winter remaining, but right here it goes to spring, enters the dragon, leaves the dragon, PSAR flip. And so my standard entry on the 3-day looks like that to the bottom of the dragon. You wouldn't be wrong if you took to the PSAR and took that'd be about a this is about a $6 risk. This one is about a $4 risk. And no reason to expect this, but that is such a significant move that closed very well. I would not be surprised to see this move. So there's still plus $15 on the way up. And if you just use today's risk box or today's range as the box, you're only talking about a $3 risk in today's range. So if it just gets north of that big black blob, it's 5-1 to here, which connects back to the last time the PSAR flipped. But by the same token, if that thing falls out of here, then that's an easy trade as well. So I'm just treating today's range as the black box and ready to follow that in either direction. And this is just the yellow zone in here. What's it going to do? I don't know. I don't care until it breaks out above that bracket. And then we can fine tune that on the 30-minute charts. Okay. So this one's not over yet. Just a quick look at the risk reward ratios. Tesla and the metals are all still deeply oversold. And then a couple of the semis, NVIDIA and Texas Instruments are about 1.5. Intel is even at 1.1 on the risk reward. Devon Energy is pretty fairly valued. And then all of the other big indexes are fully priced, right? Only the Russell small caps has not participated in this little move, and he's at 2-1. So I really think IWM is the anomaly here. Is it going to play catch up tomorrow? I don't know, but that's a good trade to start framing. Let's take a look at the traders now. Here's Constantine. He's our prop trader, and he's identified that long narrow channel in the Nasdaq on the 5s. Sees the first break, gets short, and is able to take the exit here at the PSAR flip for 4.6. Z3 pinch has occurred, so I might have wanted to try this on the long side. I think there's a lot more of that coming just to get back to the daily high. So there's an opportunity to the upside here. And then on his preferred gold versus dollar, again, this has that long consolidation inside yesterday's price. Here's the Z3 expansion, puts a tight risk well below the PSAR flip and is able to bring home 7.5 once that thing starts consolidating and it fails to go higher. Fails, so he just takes that for 7.5. Very nice. He's trading the 2-minute on that one. That's his bread and butter. Woj scratches around in Devon. Not much wiggle room in there. He makes 3 on Tesla on a continuation of the downside trade. One on U.S. Steel. And then here he's focusing on the other symbols. So span of control and brings home 0.6 in NVIDIA and 4.6 for the day. Pretty good shooting, Tex. Excuse me. Let's get her back here. Oh, I forgot. I didn't look at the health check. Sorry. Stand by. So on the 150, this is the 150-day look back. This outer, here's the 150-day high, and we're pretty close to the top of that. Here's how far that 150-day low was, way back in there, all the way back around 350. And now and here's today's little range, inside the 5-day, inside the 10-day, inside the 30-day. So you can see that we are really pushing the upside, and it only takes that extra little bit to really make it feel like all is well. I'm concerned because this would be, this is where it's stalled, and today was a bit of a sell-off day. So if you're long and have profits inside here, I think you really got to respect that price level. Don't let it come all the way back into here. That's enough of a give back from the swing high. So critical state beginning to develop. The 30-day, this was really the second day of selling. So yesterday was a gap up and then closed poorly. And today actually recovered a little bit. So I really see this as the zero state, and I'm ready to play that long. And if it breaks above the 10-day high, off we go. But also on the short side, I can play it down to about here, to the PSAR flip as a tactical intraday. But if it were to fall below 398, down we go. I'd actually start with, I think the round number of 400 is crucial. That's where the dragon is going to be tomorrow anyway. So I would really respect 400 as a round number. Very important price level. That little 2-day sell-off has introduced just a little weakness in our NDX here. We're in bullish quiet though, and that's as nice as it gets. Risk is on in the volatility index. So respect those signals, and I'm ready to be on the long side in a hurry. Big breakouts today in Johnson & Johnson. That's huge. Look at a 175 on the 10-day and 1 month. That's how big that move was that we looked at. Coca-Cola had breakouts. Merck had a breakout. Pfizer. And then this whole cluster right here. United Health, Verizon, Walmart, ExxonMobil. So this was mostly old school, large caps, the baseline companies, not even the high-tech groovy ones. In the ETFs, weakness in marijuana. This just continues to suffer. But meanwhile, breakout in treasuries, the defensive plays of utilities and healthcare. That's an interesting posture there. Market gave back a little bit. The defensive plays were stronger. Maybe that's a little taking some money off the table and salting it away in the staples. That could be what's going on. Standard framing for the auto framer and the squeezes. A lot of squeezes today. Today was a consolidation day, not much sell-off. And when you see diamonds and the SPY and the Russell and treasuries all tightly compressed, the whole market is looking around to the left and right to see who's going to flinch. Are buyers going to come in or sellers? I normally take this as a warning to the downside, since we've just come out of the bear. On the other hand, it is bullish quiet, and so I'm really ready to follow price in either direction without any hesitation. I think we're likely to see two pretty good days of trading going into the weekend. I think tomorrow's going to be a prime time trading time for the intraday trader. A couple Godzillas in the S&P 500. Starting to see some volatility creeping back in here now on the one-day movers. These double greens. VLO is interesting to me over here. This is Valero Energy. That's like an alternative to Devon Energy. It often behaves the same way as that mid-cap gasoline distributor, U.S. domestic. So I'd keep an eye on him. Standard Sniper Auto Framer. So this is the tale of two markets today. There was considerable weakness in certain sectors, but really strong moves in the old reliables like energy, Ethereum, Johnson and Johnson, massively good. And these are all the defensive plays here. And this was more of the previous gainers. So this feels like the market pausing to assess what to do. I expect some tactical front running tomorrow, increased volatility, larger price moves both directions. Be a price follower tomorrow. And then finally, our frog list of the best traders, which is a combination of range percentage and consistent frog quality numbers. So you get Tesla, marijuana, clean energy, Devon, NVIDIA. And there's your semiconductors right there in the top 15. All right, that's everything we got for today. A little tired, so we'll call it here and be ready for them tomorrow.